JackeyLove Jinx first pick every single game. And, you know, Tarzan's Volibear, that's what he's loved to play, and he's going to pull it 3 games in a row. We're getting the same drafts.
Yeah, I would expect Esports to go for the Graves here. Now, LNG, I think you have to respond with the Aphelios, you know, considering you've already picked the Thresh in first rotation. Now, going into second phase of bans, I guess we're going to see a lot of character come out, especially for the side of LNG, right? Because Top Esports already have picked their solo lanes, have already kind of given an inkling of how they want to play the game, though I think both Graves and Ryze decently flexible in terms of how they can play, whether team fights or in sides. So again, sides definitely being the dominating factor. For LNG, I think just all-inning in terms of like more all-in champions, more engaged coming through would be where I want to see them go. Again, the question always is, I think the champion pool and what you're willing to bring out against the Ryze. We hit on potentially the Orianna last time around. This time, Top Esports are leaving up those globals to be able to follow suit. So both Galio and Twisted Fate actually open this time around.
Well, let's see if it gets picked up. At least on the side of Top Esports, still banning away Arla, going against the Aurelia from last game. Not going to let him have it again while we get a Viego solo lane once again. I mean, Arla pulled this out in game number 1, but you and I were saying it wasn't the reason they won.
No, it really didn't do much at all. We saw it was one of the lowest damage champions in that game. Wasn't able to keep up pressure inside, so actually saw him continuously forced in. But hey, we'll see how it works out this time around as Top Esports right now hovering over the Rakan. I mean, both Nautilus and Leona taken away, so you're kind of moving down to that tier 2 of engaged supports, which typically has been the Alistar and the Rakan coming through. Now for TS, jungle still left open. There's the Zhao. We hit on it earlier how Tian hasn't gone too much towards this pick this split, but obviously was willing to bring it out earlier in the day.
I mean, it's sad to see it because game number 1, he pulled it out, and that was a game where he really failed to do anything. And it was against his same Volibear, so you're going to have to try and get some retribution here if you're Tian in the jungle. A Nocturne was a bit of a throwback towards the good old days with Doinb, and I know that going up against his old brother, you know, it must have some pretty cool vibes. So we're now going to find out what Doinb plays, actually, and that's a good question. You were talking about the global mid laners. This Galio, something that's been left open available, he's going to try and test his luck.
And the smiles coming out from him, right? There's just too many champions you associate with Doinb, so saying, you know, an iconic champion for Doinb just feels pretty pointless at this stage in his career with how much he has, like, innovated or gone towards certain picks. So now for LNG, again, my question is, since we didn't really get to see how it pans out, of what this Viego is really supposed to do. Because, I mean, for LNG, are you going to be looking to put pressure up towards your top side, enable the Viego, get him ahead? He's going to be like this massive skirmish threat later on, maybe have a bit of silent pressure, look to move first and impact these team fights. It's kind of my thought process so far for what LNG want to go for. You have a ton of engage this time around. Looking over at the side of TES, though, I think Knight looking a lot more formidable on the Ryze than the Ahri. Potentially could set up some plays for Tian to be able to follow up on. And you have that prio and top side that Graves will give you, like we saw in game 1 to play around.
I mean, just exciting to see Ryze versus Galio. Who makes the biggest movement first? Junglers still come into the equation, though, as we know Tarzan versus Tian has been dictating a lot of these early games. What we've seen here from LNG versus Top Esports, as we're about to head into game number 3, a big reminder that LNG secured playoffs with this win. Top Esports moved to 8. Lyric already set it out for you before. And if you're tuning in for the first time, a quick reminder that Light and JackeyLove have had pop-off moments in this series both. I'll say that Light has definitely been the better so far. Caitlyn in game number 2 had some pretty big moments. Game number 1, his Aphelios was sick. And it is kind of fun to see him go up against JackeyLove when everyone will know JackeyLove, but kind of forget that Light exists from that 4th seed from Worlds 2020.
Especially when Light, I feel like overall throughout the series has played well in both games, right? We saw in game 1, the Aphelios. Game 2, we didn't really spend too much time on bot lane in terms of where the observers had cameras because of the action happening elsewhere. They did not really fall behind, but they weren't able to pressure out in laning phase, but still massive performance later on. This time around, can Light do it again? Looks like we have a bit of standard runes coming out across the board. This time, Wayward not opting into the Ignite and press the attack that we saw last time around. Is going to go towards the standard setup of taking TP and the fleet footwork to just be able to keep up sustained in this laning phase. Yeah,
it was very aggressive last time around, but we never saw anything come of it as the Ignite was only used one time with the jungler coming topside. LNG going to spot out this ward in River. Now, I want to bring us back to kind of how these comps operate. You talked about how Arla can skirmish, and how this top laner is going to be pretty big for LNG. Nice little trade here from both mid laners. But, you know, this time around, going up against the Graves, going to be interesting to see how he fares in this lane. Considering that, you know, Arla in game one, we're talking about in draft, didn't do much on this Viego, and it wasn't like he had an amazing laning phase either.
No, so kind of hitting on drafts, right? I expect we're going to see a lot of team fights coming out from both sides, right? For LNG, it's very obvious. I mean, they want to force fights. They have the Galio, get Tarzan in on the back line, follow up with the ultimate. You have a lot of low-range champions on the side of top esports as well, kind of barring the Jinx, so hopefully find a massive taunt and then just set up for the Moonlight Vigil to come out from Lights. Is some trading coming down in bot side.
Level 1.
Both teams.
And Severin's going to be there.
They don't want to stop, though.
They don't, but Lyric, they stop. Oh.
Yeah. And now looking at top esports, I think it's a little bit more of the same. I think they gonna want to try and, you know, find opportunities around this top lane like we hit on, but Tian right now pathing down towards his bottom side. It's gonna be hard for TS, right? Because I think typically you see the Ryze, you see the Graves, you think side lanes, but Galio gonna have those globals to be able to follow up to enable Ala. So I expect this just to get to a point where it's going to be a lot about JackeyLove having that range advantage, trying to peel for him with both Mark and Tian to set up the teamfight wins.
I mean, Tian and Mark have been pretty on point in that second game. I think Mark especially, setting up with Leona was really good. Now back on the Rakan. Rakan's something that Mark historically, when he was alongside Kramer on the LGD roster, I got my years wrong, you know, LNG, remember 2021. We are talking about LGD in 2020, Lyric. They were the 4th seed. It was Kramer and Mark as the bottom lane. And Mark got a lot of flack at Worlds, I think as well, because he was a support that constantly got caught out. And a lot of people thought that this guy wasn't great at League of Legends. But I'm glad we finally see him back in the roster. And for top esports, it was a mid-split decision and one that I would not look back on. Of course, with Dwarf stepping back, but still, Mark's really worked into the role.
Yeah, and Mark, again, just brings his experience, his knowledge to this. Looking for the heavy trades now. Choppers go down.
Okay, and the Ignite as well. LvMao flashes away and tries to get something off it. Heal 2 versus 1 summoner from Mark. And just as we're talking him up, top esports 2v2 in a great position.
Yeah, setting up for Tian to just easily pivot towards the scuttle. Already going to head down towards the bottom side. Is going to be spotted out, but for TS, generating this pressure so far. Still no attempts made on the opposite side of the map. We do see Wayward respecting the potential gank from Tarzan, knowing that his jungle path towards bottom side of the map, so not going to open up those gank opportunities that we have seen in the previous 2 games, right? Wayward has been playing quite aggressively in this game so far.
I think
in the series so far.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I think he's been aggressive the whole series long. It has been, you know, a great top laner here for top esports, and you know, maybe it's in the name, that's why. Lyric, getting close to level 6. That's all I care about. Knight and Doinb's level 6. What lane do they hit first?
Yeah. I mean, now you have Summoners blown in bot side for TS, right? I think you can very easily look towards that lane. I wonder if Tian going to try and find an opportunity why he is pathing topside right now for his Gromp. Maybe you try to set Wayward up for success here. Leave him on his own, you know, on his island, start moving down, play around bot, utilize the Realm Warp. But obviously, again, any global play that comes out from either mid laner will be able to be answered. I think for LNG, it'd be nice if they could try and find a pick in mid, but Knight not giving any opportunities. You have the setup there from Doinb, and it looks like they're just going to move down towards this bottom side first.
Nice and quickly does it. That Predator, I want to see it activated here on the tier 2 boots. LvMao walking down as well, but they just walk over a ward. Pings are going down. I believe the control ward's spotted out, but yeah, for top esports, well aware to the play at hand, and it's just passivity here from JackeyLove and Mark.
And both teams have clearly shown they actually don't care about top side at all. Tian not even going to try and waste time angling for a gank up in this top lane. Going to immediately move back down to bot. Is Ala finding a really nice trade. He's actually pretty close to level 6, so Wayward going to have to be extremely careful.
But yeah, Wayward with no mana as well, so makes the point even worse. 48 to 43 CS. It looks like a 5 CS lead up in the top side. Tian with one in the jungle too. And that's about it for now. So for top esports, a small gold lead here at the 5-minute mark, but had no action. We have no plays until now. Death Sentence comes through. Mark just playing defensively here alongside his AD carry. And we did talk about this here with Tian now getting close towards 6. Knight is actually at 6 now too. And both these mid laners trying to move around, set up for these early neutrals.
Yeah, and we saw Knight having pressure in that mid lane matchup with Tian hovering. LNG, though, posturing for the fight.
Doinb's already
has
Predator.
ultimate as well.
And yeah, where does he jump into? The answer for now is nowhere. LNG moving into Fog of War, and we just scurry off. So we continue this dance with some kind of pants.
And we've seen this pretty regularly from top esports series in terms of that they'll have one game where they are willing to push the pace a little bit forward. They typically have one game where they just get completely shut out, and then third game, again, thinking back to like EDG, BLG, where the pace does slow down quite a bit, try to be a bit more respectful of the enemy. And again, I really do think this one is much harder, because if you make the first move, you can just be countered out so heavily by the enemy mid laner Knight. I think doing a good job to just keep Doinb locked into this lane for now, endlessly pushing him in.
Yeah.
Smart's here to follow up.
I mean, this is going to be a nice little track. Flash immediately burnt. Tarzan, as he walks through, he's a bit late to the show, and you'll take that summoner trade, especially when all the attention continues playing on mid.
And now, I think pretty crucial summoner for the side of LNG, right? We've seen a lot of times Galio starting up engages, predatoring in, flashing for the taunt. Top Esports trying to close the distance to prevent this dragon.
Okay, Tian wants to run in for the steal, immediately jumps on in. Tarzan, no, not going to get the steal away. Nice little touch up here. Top Esports with the first dragon, and a beautiful knock up from Mark. LNG, though, there ain't enough damage against them with Light now having the perfect guns. He wants it on JackeyLove. That flash to be burnt. It's a double. And for Top Esports, the spoils of their reward end up in the form of the dragon.
Yeah, nice steal coming out for Tian. And, you know, this has been a bit of a problem for Tarzan in recent series. I believe it was, like, both V5 and Weibo series where he was just getting smited.
Yeah,
both series in a row. Outsmote?
Yeah, well, it's outsmited apparently is a word. I've looked this up. Smited and smote.
Oh, it is a word?
I think
outsmited is a word?
Smited and smote are both words. Smote is pretty sure it's American, and smited is English. Like dived and dove.
You know, us in the good old USA, not liking how other people use. I guess I shouldn't say this to you, because you guys are the same in Australia.
Hang on.
You guys didn't like how other people Englished either.
No,
you decided to use your own words.
We made up our own words. I mean, bogan is now a word, and we use the word sausage more than any other country out there. So we've literally created words, adapted others, and then built a new language. Like,
I'm still saying my two favorites are Berry Floss and then Dick Togs, which is apparently a Speedo.
Yeah, except that we just use Speedos. I've never heard of that word. I'm not even sure you could say that, but you just did, so I guess it doesn't matter.
I just put it all out there. Hey, you know, Australian English, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, fair shake.
Your country came and did it as, you know, we'll go back. LNG now, posturing around top side. Not even posturing. They're taking Rift Herald. We see Top Esports on the opposite side of the map, not even in a position to potentially answer for any kind of plates in bot. They should just be late on this. I don't expect them to answer, but no camps in topside either for Tian. So just a bit of wasted time coming out for the side of TES.
Yeah, nice little touch up here from LNG. Herald going to go over that gold gap, sure to be bridged. Even with the vision from Top Esports as well. I have to apologize, sausage is not overused. It's Sanger that is created and overused in Australia. So definitely feels like the word I should have gone with. I want to point out, though, is we're into this game number 3 with so much onto the line, that even though the Herald's taken away, Tian with a CS gap, mid with a CS gap. Bottom lane, it's about even here with Light and a couple of CS ahead, it feels like. And so for Top Esports, their lanes right now in decent enough positions where I'm feeling pretty confident here moving into the next couple of objectives, Lyric, with a standardized composition that is going to be looking towards Knight.
Yeah, we've seen Knight, right, pretty much just endlessly pushing in this mid wave. Even when Doinb was trying to hover over to his bottom side jungle earlier, Knight forcing in a wave, denying some CS onto Doinb. And again, this just makes his role to try and move, to try and set up a play, much harder to enact. If he does, he will just outright lose waves, which Doinb's always been willing to do, right? So it wouldn't be too detrimental. It seems like LNG, since they have been the ones typically getting pushed in on this mid lane and then heading towards bot, have been waiting to save Doinb's ultimate maybe a little bit more reactively, as Tarzan now probably going to look to drop this Herald on bot side. But Tian waiting in the wings.
Yeah, he is. A nice little timing here, even though Tarzan has the ultimate to turn off turrets. Hanging around for a bit. Tian has the level lead, though. 10 CS making a benefit here for the jungler's EXP bar. And his Herald's not placed for now. It is just going to be a redistribution, it feels like. Move to another lane, look for the focus, and drop it down. And for Knight, it seems like that lane's going to be him, but Tarzan's still pivoting between and trying to make his mind up.
Oh, Ala potentially looking for the 1v1, but we're going to bot.
It's bot as well. Good play here. Mark as well. Going to get death sentence after the quickness. Goes in for the engagement. Ignite down. First blood with Hero's entrance from Doinb. Joining in. This is going to turn into a dive. Turret gets switch off. The shield of Tarzan. Two beautiful taunts here as JackeyLove up against the jungler. Gets the ulti off before dying. It's a turnaround as LvMao is going to be next. And Tian coming in for the counterplay. Knight joining in. Top Esports equalize.
Yeah, Top Esports with the counter punch and bot side. I also want to highlight, I think Wayward's winning the 1v1. He eventually turned it around to where Ala had to back off and now having to go for the reset. So Top Esports winning out on both sides of the map with those plays.
Teleport going to get burned up here into the top side. And both flashes go down on the top lane. It's too worth mentioning. So we're seeing in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen what happened. Because, yeah, this turned into a 1v1. Everything burned. And, yeah. Ala flash. Oh, no.
Yeah, looks for it over. Then we see Wayward trying to follow it up. Isn't able to. Ala did close enough distance, but still forcing him on the retreat. Being able to get that wave in and get more damage on the turret, I think was pretty nice from the side for Wayward. Heck, and Ala even preferring those types of extended skirmishes, right? Having the Conqueror compared to the Fleet Bulwark on the opposite side, getting all that bonus damage coming through. But in the end, it wasn't enough. Right now, though, we see, again, another split map scenario coming through. Tarzan going to play up towards his top side. Maybe hoping he can get some kind of dive off. Right now, Wayward going for the reset. Top Esports on the opposite side of the map, though, will be able to answer back with the Dragon. Potentially set themselves up for an early soul point if they're able to guarantee the next one.
Like they did in the last game at the very least. Came to a condition as Hex Gates are going to be spawning here while Tarzan just sits in front of the turret with Ala. This is going to get a huge charge. Ala going to share in the spoils. And we did talk about LNG positioning this top laner in a very successful position as Teleport going to be burned, Herald going to be left to die, and Wayward still able to defend. First turret not going down, but the distribution still goes out with LNG, now equal in the gold score.
Yeah, and we saw just nice rotation. Now, though, TS trying to make a play in mid, weren't able to find it, thinking they were hoping to catch Doinb back because both Knight and Doinb started to rotate towards top lane. Top Esports bring Mark and Tian there, but Doinb not being caught out, not falling for it. I also like how TS realized that they couldn't make a play on the opposite side of the map. They didn't have a wave at that point in time, and Doinb also able to follow up and try and cover for his bot side. So TS instantly react to going top, try to stop the push, and we're in a place where gold is even and mythics starting to come out on both sides.
True. I mean, those big mythics coming through. 4 on the side of Top Esports, 2 for LNG. As Ala's just playing footsies with Wayward. I mean, what is this? Against the turret, Wayward buying his time. He gets a hit in, no autos from the turret. And we kind of just did a nice little romantic dance around the rock face.
Yeah, not able to do anything. Ala also realizing he can't follow up looking for the all-in. Wayward also level 11, so having that second point into his ultimate compared to Ala, who is only going to be hitting level 11 right now. I think LNG's plan going forward is quite simple for the next few minutes, right? I think hover up towards topside, try and just put enough pressure to being able to stop lane turret. So Top Esports right now just trying to counteract and respond. You can see where Tian is right now on the mini-map. Not going to allow that to happen.
Worth mentioning that Herald's coming up in about a minute here, and for Top Esports, securing this top side. Going to open up a couple of possibilities for them as well as Knight getting a trade-off to Doinb. LvMao moving towards mid. Mid turret continues to get pummeled. Now that JackeyLove's here, it gets a little bit more serious with the next wave. While Top Esports, 2 waves right now under pressure. Topside will be taken down, absolutely. And Lyric, the deep vision already beginning in LNG's topside jungle.
Yeah, and LNG no way can respond, right? We saw Doinb taking blue buff with Tarzan right there. They are going to be able to funnel a bunch of gold onto lane and bot side, but Ala, you're getting dove. You have no flash.
Yeah, and Knight's going to start it off. I mean, backing away from the turret, just opening up for Tian. Look at the bot side. LNG are going to bring light straight to the tier 1 turret, but this tier 2, this will drop with Wayward being the AD source. And that's so much gold shared over where Top Esports just continued the momentum of the play.
Yeah, really nice trade coming by them. And again, a very inopportune time for LNG where Doinb's answer, getting handed the blue buff is, kind of potential aggression coming out. Knight.
Oh, flash back in. That was cheeky, but he needed to do it. The root from Ala with, looks like Doinb was shortly behind him. So, yeah, he gets out, but that's someone now down the Realm Warp down as well. They're going to start up the Herald here. And Lyric at 16 minutes into the game for Top Esports. Not 100%.
Yeah, and we're going to see, can Tarzan finally engage it up for Doinb to be able to come in?
Yeah.
Mark kind of being zoned out right now, but might just have easier access to the backline for the quickness. Gets hooked.
Yeah, he gets hooked in, grabbing him down. He's just down as entirely. The Herald was taken away as LNG forced them off top esports. They've taken the objective, but they won't be able to pick it up.
No, not going to be able to get that. So overall, just in favor of LNG. Mark trying to find an angle where he can sit on the flank, right? Come in behind with the quickness, lock down numerous members, and then set up for the big team fight win for the side of TES. Just getting caught out by LvMao. Nice presence of mind, right? Knowing that if someone's going to be looking for a flank, they should be in that position, throwing out the death sentence. Not going to be able to respond in terms of an objective, but Dragon coming up in 58 seconds. I think most summoners were up. We're just going to get a replay of Mark kind of getting spotted out, right? We saw the ward just drop there. LvMao throwing out the death sentence. Looks like it's about a max range one, so maybe if Mark was a little bit further back right, all goes differently. But it didn't. They find it. Top Esports not able to pick up the Herald, like you said.
Lyric, I just want more kills, man. You know, there's things in life that I look forward to, and one of them sometimes is League of Legends. And in it, blood for the blood god needs to be given. The respect I have when top esports go all out in LNG in the game 2 fights that came through. Sure, it was a massacre of ambushing brushes, but at least it was good gameplay. Good in the sense of entertaining. Now, in front of Dragon, I hope we get something similar. Ala actually going to not set up for the hook. Tian pretty close to that. It was LvMao who throws it out. Top esports moving into River. This will be third Dragon.
Yeah, and we see them already getting the silence in order with Doinb pushing out in bot side, Light making his way around. For LNG, they're the ones in front of Dragon right now, so top esports will be forced to come into them.
Wayward on a flank. Smith is Lyric, and Light has the perfect gun to the objective, taking it down fast. Tian looking for the steal, but he gets hooked on in. Nice from LvMao. Secured by Tarzan. He ults into the backline, goes golden, but top esports have health bars out the wazoo. The ulti from Doinb, though, might turn it around. The mid laner from LNG, though, his team doesn't have their health bars once again to play with it. Doinb doing everything, flushes away. Justice punch, get in the realm warp. Mark trying to get his helping hand as Ala runs for the hills. Knight gets it, but Doinb somehow lives. I respect that.
I wonder if top esports were confident that JackeyLove would be able to get out alive, because we saw Wayward just sitting and waiting on top of, I believe it was LvMao on the opposite side of the fight. Top esports come out with more kills, but they lose the Dragon. So overall, could have been a more overwhelming win for their side. They're going to be able to pick up mid lane turret on top of this, so at least increasing their gold lead continuously.
I want to watch Doinb, even though LNG lost the fight, like Doinb's ulti and the value of his little assassination was gorgeous.
I also want to highlight how much damage Wayward got onto Tarzan while, trying to compete with him for that Dragon. That's what opens up the initial pick, but Doinb with the massive knockup coming through, 4 members strong. And then you see, LNG kind of get pushed apart by the other remaining members of TES.
Look at him.
Doinb able to get on top of the Jinx will bring him down. We do see with the Realm Warp, top esports able to follow up onto Ala, and he does go down as well.
It was, like a mishmash of a fight, but at the very least, seeing Doinb's clean mechanics with, on the other side, getting the best out of top esports. You mentioned Wayward in that fight. A big Graves that once again isn't going Hullbreaker. All the Graves we've seen, I haven't been watching enough LEC or LCS. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to have to sue me. I haven't been watching LCK enough either. But the one thing I've been watching is LPL. And maybe PCS and LCO. But LPL. Graves here go Hullbreaker 9 times out of 10, Lyric. Wayward kind of changing the trend here in this series. Ignite first in the Graves last game. And now we just, again, don't even touch the Hullbreaker for his 3rd game.
No, and which he is mostly spending a lot of his time grouping the team, right? We're not seeing him, look for those 1v1s, playing the side lanes. Sure, you do lose out, I think, in terms of early game power when you don't go Hullbreaker. That is obviously the big selling point. The stats you just get in that isolated 1v1 for early game. But he did fine, right? We've even seen now 40 CS up on his opposing laner. Knight also finding a pretty solid CS advantage. And this is where TS are going to be able to shine through, is the pressure that Knight can generate in the 1v1 against either Ala or Doinb. The thing he has to be careful of is if he is just sitting right in front of Ala, being conscious of the fact that Doinb can follow at a moment's notice.
That's true. Always got to be watching out for that hero's entrance. Knight's Realm Warp has been used pretty defensively, bar one of the fights, so again, there's tools that need to be taken into consideration, but are still ways for LNG to play out this game. Now, they might be down 4,000 gold, but they've delayed the Dragon Soul win condition. The Hextech Soul, that feels like it would put misery into the comp of LNG. And Lyric, again, like, there is a lot of wombo, there's a lot of dive ability, and there's a lot of potential for them to catch up with top esports in these fights.
Yeah, for LNG, I mean, you at least have a solid amount of, like, peel in front line to buy space for your Aphelios. Oh, Wayward has flash.
LvMao decided to pop his head in. Wayward's over, and that flash burnt Everfrost. Does he get to move? The winds of war create bloodshed, and with Tarzan getting a kill, a massive shutdown, Wayward's sidelining days are over for quite a bit.
And TS going to try and answer back on the bottom side. If they can at least steal away these jungle camps and get some vision down right there, they're picking up some gold for this. Wayward definitely going a little bit too far forward, just trying to draw some attention, but TS not really in a position to try and take down Ala or answer back with any turrets on opposing sides of the map.
I guess we wait for the draw.
Yeah, I feel like a big thing is going to be fights, right? We were kind of hitting on, like, okay, you have the zone control, you have the ability to buy space. I feel like the one thing that TS just completely outperform LNG on, though, is damage, right? You're pretty much heavily relying on light. Doinb deals some solid damage, and for Ala, the sad thing is, since you don't have a ton of burst, I feel like it's just a lot harder to set him up for those resets to be able to pop off. We still haven't really seen the impact he's able to have with the Viego in these fights thus far. So for top esports, you do have some zone control, some ability to buy space coming out from both Tian and Mark, while also just having, right, just tons more damage on their side.
Well, here we go. We're going to begin that fight in about 15 seconds, though, aren't we? The damage sources you talked about from top esports, spot on. 3 items here on tonight. Still going to be pumping it out, but a great little frontline source with a rapid-fire cannon for JackeyLove. Being able to buy the space that we talked about. For LNG, while Light is the person to focus on, note that he's got the perfect guns for this next fight, so I feel like we are going to be looking at directly at the AD carry, as per requested. Dragon started off. This is Soul Point. LNG going to begin away.
Okay, we actually see top esports going to start it. Look at the minimap. Knight zoning away Doinb, so only 4v4.
Trap's great. The trap's just gorgeous. Tarzan walking in. Top esports have done the damage, but Doinb now running into the middle as he goes golden. Knight is hitting away in a choke point as well, or at least a created bubble. Flashes away, spreading the damage. JackeyLove getting excited. AoE heaven. There's the return damage from LNG as Light tries, but with Ryze and Jinx, it's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see, you know, as a Ryze and a Jinx. Everyone clumped up, the rockets, the QEs coming out from the Ryze, like even the collateral damage from Wayward, just benefiting so much. They're on Soul Point, they're going to make their way to Baron. They even have Knight pushing for a bot lane tier 2.
Dude, Jinx is an 80 carry. It's only 2 items, and it feels like she's taking over already. JackeyLove 5-2-4, 4-0-6. Gold lead at 7,000, and that's going to blow up with the Baron. Hexgate's being used to get near it, but I think this one's a freebie as we look in front of the Dragon fight again.
Yeah, we're going to see here them kind of commit for a bit of an engage. It baits out Doinb's ultimate, not able to find any knockup. This is where I thought things were going to start turning around. The Tian getting chunked so low with Knight getting hooked, but Knight able to flash away to get out of there. And just look at these health bars, because JackeyLove was free hitting the whole time, going back to that range advantage we were hitting on earlier in the game. And like you said, you nailed it perfectly. It is AoE heaven for the side of top esports in this fight.
JackeyLove in a sliver of HP at the end of it as well. The annoying thing about the Ryze build at the current meta too, I will say, is that in front of 4 people, still doesn't go down. This absolute fridge still deals enough damage to be a threat. And getting the Ryze Jinx combination for top esports, it works out perfectly. LNG today, they wanted to go home with playoffs locked in, with the stress off their back. But top esports making it look like they're going to be the ones to run up to 8, create this bit of a tie here, right outside the lucky number 9 that the LPL currently needs at the end of this week number 7 to lock in your playoff position. Now, if you're just tuning in, V5 earlier were able to lock in the second playoff spot. Because of their win, they also secured RNG. Only 3 teams out of 10 have done it. And if top esports have their way with this final game, we will still be on a huge question mark to end this out. But for LNG, another chance comes through. Doinb's ulti is layered on top, but it was interrupted. Doinb was interrupted in the back line. Knight and Wayward making sure he can't move as the run warp brings him back in. A hook in from LvMao, but Wayward is dealing with him while Ala gets a reset. JackeyLove's down, JackeyLove's down, and JackeyLove being down is bad news. Heartbreaker on top of Wayward. Zap doesn't get him. They gap close. Light has the grab to him available as well. LNG, this shouldn't have been their fight, but it's looking like it is as Knight brings himself back in. Ala still pokes down. Top Esports with 3 members as Ala gets poked down. Excuse me, it's LvMao. Tarzan running away. It's a 3v3, and LNG started that one.
Yeah, and I feel like the most important thing, JackeyLove had no summoners. So once Tarzan found an avenue onto him, Ala was able to follow up. I mean, it was an admirable effort by Mark, because Tarzan and Ala still going to look for it.
I mean, Knight's huge. Look at Knight. This absolute fridge. Bigger than Mike Tyson. You wake up in the morning, you get out of bed, Mike's sitting there at your windowsill. He comes over, he smacks you in the jaw, and that's literally what it feels like right now. Dealing with Knight as he's 5-0-7, and that fridge magnet that's been completed, Lyric, it's a dead man's play. 4 items, he's 1v3, and because of that, he doesn't go down.
And again, it comes down to a similar thing where it feels like the main damage he's having to worry about is coming from Light in these team fights. I feel like Doinb does do like a respectable amount. I mean, Galio, obviously not like a big damage carry, but still something you have to keep an eye on. But here, Tarzan going straight onto JackeyLove in the backline. JackeyLove has no sums to be able to follow up. It's a very chaotic fight. Doinb getting cut off from being able to join in. But I feel like the key thing is that Ala was able to get back here, flashes past Mark, takes out JackeyLove, and he is the biggest source of consistent DPS for the side of LNG. I mean, for Top Esports. And Top Esports, Wayward, gonna get caught out, gonna get chased down. Ala going to be able to close the gap, but still gonna be forced off with how big Knight is, like you said. Even able to finish off LvMao here.
Clean stuff. We're back into a fight. We're back into a fight, though. And Doinb comes on in after JackeyLove gets LvMao. Now he's in the middle. He's golden once again as the Moonlight Vigil with Infernum does work, but the burst outside of the stasis. Now for JackeyLove. Cleanses, builds the space in a matter of moments. The game is over.
And that, coming out of a replay game that's out of nowhere, the Top Esports magic holds true.
Knight Tyson comes through in a big way as Top Esports with 5 members channeled down the mid lane. They'll move to 8 wins. They'll deny LNG from securing playoffs here today. Even Realm Warp into the fountain. And Top Esports continue their hot streak, 6 wins strong.
Top Esports, like you said, 6 series win streak. They have literally beaten the 3rd through 5th place teams in the standings in this win streak. They've taken down LNG. They've taken down EDG. Oh, I'm wrong, because RNG